Right, so before we get going, we might have completely forgot to say that we're gonna totally ruin Star Wars, like full-on spoilers. So, just saying, you've been warned. Right, take two. Let's try that again. Jesus Christ. So, just recorded like half a show. And joys of technology fucked up.
It died.
But at least we get to talk about Star Wars again. How's it going, mate? It's been a couple of weeks and we've not done it yet. Well, we have just done it, but for the sake of going through the motions, let's pretend like we haven't just recorded half a show. How have you been?
I've been good, and welcome everyone to episode 20.
I know. 20. 6 months now. It's nearly been, because there's, I think, a couple of weeks we missed. So, yeah.
We're still not pulling in magical figures as far as listeners are concerned, but our audience has doubled. We are making progress. I
think 40 views, on average, some more, some less. I think that is a magical number. I quite like that
magical number.
Of course, 40 million would be better, but it is what it is. I like, at the moment, having a small little show and just doing it for the sake of doing it.
I think 2018 is going to be our year. I've got a few things planned, We've just done all this in the last show we just recorded. But basically, I've got... we got an offer from Ryan from Sketchy Connection. He's going to animate something for us for the beginning of our show. Got loads of shows lined up. Domain's going to be put up, and we're going to have so many tools to our advantage coming in the next few weeks. So watch out. I mean, we are a brand and we're kicking ass. We enjoy doing the show as well. But it's not like a forced thing. Like at the beginning, it was kind of like, "Hi, welcome to Thors-Kin." It's a bit nerve-wracking and stuff, whereas now we're just kind of like, what's up, bitches? With Thors-Kin. We're here to talk about Star Wars this week, motherfuckers. Star Wars.
Oh, God, your mic went horrible then. Jesus. Star Wars, some wrap-up of 2017. We're going to do it, not an awards ceremony as such, but some, a rundown of a few of our favourite things, movies and games-wise. And then the usual dickhead of the weeks and superhero bar fight. So,
first of all, who's your favourite Star Wars character of all time?
Of all time, that's difficult. Christ, you didn't ask me this before.
No, I didn't. I thought it'd be great. Mine's
Jesus, Spock.
I love Spock. He's so good in Star Wars. No, that was perfect.
Do you know what? I was going to react in exactly the right way as to why you were taking the piss. I was like, "That's Star Trek, you dickhead!"
And you know what? After the last week or so of shit I've been getting online because of the show, because of my views and stuff, I feel like I should poke them with sticks now. So yeah, Spock's my favorite Star Wars character always. What did you think of episode 8, Jedi? What did you think, mate?
I was split down the middle. Like, I was saying this in the first recording. Like, some people said it was great. Some people said it was awful. And I kind of didn't want to make my mind up before I went in. So I just sat on the fence and made my mind up. And I came out exactly the same as I went in, where some bits were great and some bits were awful. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it, because the bits that were terrible, you put them to one side, and there's some bits that, fair enough, could have, depending on whether I'm in a good or bad mood towards it, could ruin the film. There's some plot holes and things like that.
And this is the point we both decided, the fact that there are a couple of boners in this movie. They did annoy me. They didn't annoy me because, in actual fact, this movie made me emotional. Like, there was parts where I nearly cried. There's parts where the hairs were up on the back of my neck. I walked out of there with a skip in my step. And if the movie does that, then it's good. I don't care. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, the last, I won't say half. I probably won't even say third. I'll probably say like 1/29th of that film were so good. That last salt flat scene onwards was and from before. The second that they actually start using their lightsabers, it got amazing. I was like, why didn't they do this the whole film? Episode 7 was this the whole film. Why didn't they do that here? They just wanted to go for a different tone, I guess. But no, overall, I like you. I came out of it thinking it was really good, but there was some glaring fucking plot holes, whether you agree or not. And there were some little moments that I thought shouldn't have been in there. But it started off strong. I didn't go in there thinking after 5 minutes thinking, oh, this is going to be the shit film that everyone's making out to be, because it started off.
Simpsons prank call.
Yeah, the prank. I have a Hugh Dick here. It's Hugh Dick.
Seymour Buds there. You were saying last time that this the intergalactic fight with the dreadnought.
Yeah, so it opens up with a dreadnought, which is like a destroyer on steroids. It can it doesn't blow up planets, but it pretty much fucks up anything that's on the planet. Basically, Poe flies out to meet it, and he calls in to the general, who is basically supposed to be the representation of Star Wars Hitler, for all intents and purposes.
We are the First Order.
So he calls up to stall, and that in and of itself isn't a problem. He's joking. He's like, right, I'm asking for General such and such. Is he there? Yeah, you're speaking to him. Okay.
Can't hear you. What?
Okay, I'll hold. He's like, no, you're speaking to him, and that'll be fine. But they play out the general like a fool, and he shouldn't be that. He shouldn't be a comical character. He should be not to the same point as it's the Sith, because he's even in episode 7, he was made out to be like, yeah, he's in charge, but he's in charge of the business side of things. The Sith are the guys that they're the CEOs, if you want to look at it that way. They're the ones in charge. So he knows his place, and he knows to get on his knees and fucking kiss people, shine people's kiss his scarred knob. But yeah, he should at least be a character that you don't want to fuck with, or they don't paint him in that way. But they totally did in the first 2 minutes, and I was like,
I had the same reaction with this as I did with in Force Awakens, where Poe comes face to face with Kylo Ren, and he's kind of like, who talks first? Do you talk first? I talk first. It was that same sort of tone.
Yeah,
as you're drilling again.
Yeah, he's fucking true. Yeah, I thought, you know what? Since we're having to record again, at least we won't get the guy drilling in the background. But
yeah, who do a podcast? Fuck it. Yeah, it had that same sort of effect on me. I found it funny, but I rolled my eyes at the same time. So,
yeah. And what I found out was that they can't pull off Marvel comedy in the same way. It was exactly that. It was Marvel comedy, but it was in a film. Oh my god, this drilling. Jesus Christ. I'm expecting Ace Ventura's head to pop through the wall like it's coming out the arse end of a fucking rhino going, alrighty then. But yeah, they can't pull off comedy in the same way because it's not layered into oh my fucks, Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up drilling. It's layered onto a film that isn't of the same tone. It's darker, and it's just Star Wars is different from what Marvel aim at. So I didn't like that. But then it leads on to this bomber scene that was just awesome.
Yeah, it was. Visually, it was fantastic, and it kind of set up the tone for Poe for the whole movie, I think, because throughout the movie, I just saw Poe as a bit of a dick. And I said this last time, so it's weird saying it, but I think we should call this episode Poe as a dick, because yeah, he was all passion. He was like that drunk guy in a bar that just wants to fight everyone. That's what Poe reminded me of. So yeah, it was good. I get where he was coming from, that we should just fight for it. We should go, and it should be like an all-out passionate war. But at the same time, that scene, they lost all their fucking all of their bombers just for that one ship. And I get why Leia was annoyed, because now they had nothing, So
yeah. No, it's that part was sort of bad, then very good, but then it went straight back to bad. So I don't want to sort of go through this chronologically, because one of the problems that I had was that this film jumped from bit to bit. So should we just do like subject matter to subject matter?
Yeah,
what did you?
Yeah, that's good.
We'll do 2 points first, and then we'll jump into the fact that it jumped around so much. So the whole film was basically jumping from Rey on the island and her interactions with Luke, and then Finn, Poe, and some little Chinese girl that you'll meet. What did you think to the first opening scene of Rey and Luke?
Okay, so we've all been waiting 2 years, to see what their interaction is going to be like when she hands him that lightsaber. And we all had our own ideas of this deep conversation they're going to have. It's going to be emotional. He's going to cry. He's going to be like, is he going to embrace her with a hug? Is he going to fight her? Or what's going to happen? Like, and then he just throws it behind his back and walks off. And I was just kind of like, oh, cool. You know, it was just a bit like, what? Why? Why did they do that? Like, I wanted some meaningful, emotional response that we've all been making these ideas up in our heads for the last 2 years, and that wasn't good enough. I said to you that it reminded me of, I expected Kevin Bacon to come walking around from behind him like, hey, have you ever tried EE mobiles? Join EE. It looked like an advertisement for something. You know, it didn't look right to me.
No, it didn't. No, your mic's going a little bit funky, but yeah, I think it's just the connection. I think probably next door was just drilled straight through our fucking internet. But yeah, that scene was a little bit like, oh, yeah, that should have probably had a bit more weight to it. But the whole Rey on the island is just that bit straight afterwards. Basically, Rey follows Luke around like a little lost puppy going, train me, train me, train. I'm not leaving you alone, sir. So, perfect place to put a Rocky montage of her following him around.
Baywatch music. I was thinking the Baywatch music could follow him behind.
Someone should totally edit that.
I'll be ready. I just thought it was weird, yeah.
God. So Luke goes down to the beach, and there's this fucking sexual manatee that's just leant up against a rock.
Sat there. He's like, milk me.
It's just got some weird fucking prosthetic tits on it. And Luke just goes up to it, starts milking its like full-on tits. I'm not talking like teats. It's got full-on porn star boobs into a bottle of green gloop, takes a swig and smiles at the camera with this pedo face and a little twinkle in his tooth like he's trying to promote a new fucking innocent smoothie shake.
And again, Kevin Bacon comes walking out. Have you tried blue tea milk?
All right, mates.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit strange. I laughed at it because it was just bizarre. The whole section was just a bit weird for me. I mean, and then like you said about the traversing from one side of a creek to another, like, and then catching a fish on his way. It's just like, okay. It's weird. I mean, I get it. They want to show how he survived on the island with blue titty milk and salmon. Not salmon, but you know what I mean. He's fish he's caught from 100 meters up or something. It was just a bit strange. But yeah, there were a few nice moments on that island. I think the whole fact that island is like yin and yang. It's like it's the center point of the Force, like you said.
Yeah. So this is
still your point. This
is the good part about this island, isn't it? Is that the Force tree is there. You know, like the Resistance logo, the little star pointing upwards, the Jedi icon. It's the tree that is shaped like that, and there is a hole that leads underground to where the dark comes from, and the way in which they represent this is absolutely fantastic. Like, you expect Rey to get sucked down into this hole, and there to be like this hooded figure there, you know, the ultimate Sith, like all of the Sith have power, because it's not because of something or anything, it's just the Force and what it represents, and it's not intelligent, it's not like a god figure, there's no design to it, it just is, and they represent that brilliantly. So
no strange beings down in that hole, nothing that the mirror was a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because it represents what drives you, and like she's obviously we're all yearning for this backstory. What's her lineage? Who is a family? And ultimately, that mirror shows that that's not important. It's about her and her story, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
So I like that bit. I really did like that.
Yeah. I also like the bit where he finds R2-D2. And he shows Princess Leia just like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Just like that. Just seeing that again.
Movement.
Yeah.
Oh, I nearly cried at that. I definitely almost teared up for that moment. It was really nice. The bit with Chewie was a bit weird because he hadn't seen this guy for yonks. He bursts through the door and he's like, "What the fuck, Chewie?"
Yeah.
Like, "Hi, Chewie."
Just like, I saw him last night for drinks and he was supposed to call me to tell me he got home safe. Like, what the fuck? Come on. It's just like, no, you haven't seen me for 30 years. You're old now. Yeah. So it was just this splattering of, oh, that was cool. That was weird. That was shit. That was amazing. And that was basically the entire film. But while all that's going on, basically we've described about 20 scenes there. No, that's an over-exaggeration. Probably about 5 or 6 scenes that are split in between 5 or 6 scenes of Finn, and they jump from one to another. So all of that there that wasn't really important. Basically, she found some books. It wasn't important. She got Luke to train her, and she figured out that, right, I need to go... Oh, yeah. While she's there, she's having Force... conscious bridge gappy thing, so it's like she's linked to Kylo Ren, and she's figuring out that Kylo might be half good still. Like there's definitely some tug between the light and dark. That mind meld thing, it fucked in my head a bit. I didn't like it. It was weird. Like, I'm trying to be positive. There are a lot of positives to this movie, by the way. I've quite often said I love this movie, but that bit for me, it kind of didn't sit well, because I just thought, if they could have done that from the beginning, yeah, I mean, if Palpatine could have done that with Darth Vader, at the end of fucking A New Hope, he'd have gone, oh, who's that guy? He'd have found Leia, he'd have found Luke, he'd have gone and killed them. End of Star Wars. I think it was a weapon they could have used if it was always something they could have done in the earlier films. It just didn't. Yeah, and it was a thing of like, if that whole thing happened to lure Rey onto the ship, which was the end game, like it was to get her there, basically, why didn't they just do that with when she touches that mirror to find herself? Why couldn't she have looked into Kylo Ren's future then? That way it's a weapon that only she had access to, so it made sense. It explained it in the same way. It got her to the end goal to move the story along. Why didn't you just do that then instead of having a mind meld thing?
I think whatever power is down that hole and whatever's affecting that mirror, nothing to do with Snoke. I think that's it may be from the dark side.
But they could have explained it that way. They could have just used whatever that power is. Yeah. That could have been the way it worked for Rey. This snap of shit, I've just taken a look at Ren's future.
And also, I think it explains that Rey's actually one powerful motherfucker. If you can go to the source of the dark side and come out unscathed and her mind hadn't been altered, she still wants to do good. I think that shows she's pretty fucking powerful. Like.
I think she is going to be probably the most powerful thing that we've seen short of Yoda. There's a scene later on in the film where, oh my god, Yoda, I completely forgot, where we see Yoda, basically, he's a Force ghost. But he's old Yoda Force ghost, which I loved.
I love that. That was more of a nod, wasn't it? That was more of an appreciation nod. Yeah.
And he does his last little bit of mentoring for Luke, of basically teaching him, look, as a Jedi Master, you need to accept failure. Your failure of Kylo Ren, all that kind of stuff. Basically, that sort of, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, short of Yoda, of being that completely unchallengeably good. You know that you can fail, therefore if you don't have that tension there, because of that you don't submit to the dark side. I think short of him, Rey is going to be that most powerful person ever, where she is just innocent as shit. Like, she's just good through and through. Because the bits that they say, oh, you're going to struggle with the dark side, she doesn't get fazed by it. Like, they throw it into the plot, but she's like, yeah.
And there's that scene on the island where she cracks fucking rocks and she makes things break, and even Luke's kind of like, oh my god, man. It was very revealing, I thought.
Yeah.
So there were some good moments, the whole island montage.
Yeah. But yeah, that was sort of like cut evenly in between what Rey and what Finn and Poe are doing, which means that except for that first 5 minutes with the bomber scene, you've got all of that island thing. What to me was just, it was a bit, some bits like we've described were cool, but it was really slow and boring.
Tedious, yeah.
Tedious is the right word. Heavily tedious. And it was in between a whole portion of the rest of the film to get them to a point where Rey and Kylo are in the same room. At this point, the film gets incredible, but it takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to get them in the same room. So the whole rest of that film, because it's a 2.5 hour film, the whole rest of that film is cutting between Rey on the island and Finn and Poe basically going on a pointless adventure. It's like the most pointless adventure since fucking Harrison Ford forgot to turn up as fucking Indiana Jones. Like, he just didn't need to be in that film, and neither did Finn or Poe. Well, for certain bits they did, but like for this chunk, basically the first part is setting up them being able to figure out, they're tracking us through hyperspace now. Never been able to do it before. The best we can do is keep our distance. We're running out of fuel. We need to figure out a plan. Finn goes to escape because he's trying to get this beacon that can tell Rey where to go to safety, and because Leia gets and we'll get back to, but Leia gets blown up, but she survives. So she had the beacon. Then Finn picks it up. He goes to escape, and he runs into this little Chinese girl who is some like. She's like the dude from Star Trek. What's he called? Scotty, who just knows everything. Like she's the engine girl basically, and she knows everything. Why she isn't fucking heading the ship up because she's so intelligent, I don't know. But she she figures out that they can actually shut off the lead ship that's doing the tracking, escape through hyperspace, and everyone's safe. So they go back to Poe. He figures out, right, let's crack up this plan. And we need this plan in place because we can't possibly jettison the escape pods because they just shoot us. And he makes this massive, massive point about, right, that is not a plausible route forward. So, an hour and a half later, they fucking use the escape pods. And it's just
watching you trying to explain that was the most painful thing I've ever.
I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's like at the end because like they go down to this planet to get this hacker so that they can get into a Star Destroyer. Basically, that's it.
They get arrested. They go to a prison cell and they bump into Benicio del Toro. He's a codebreaker. He's all a bit strange, isn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't
take that character out. Fuck him.
I didn't like Benicio del Toro. His lisp wasn't very convincing. I think anyone could do better than that. And his character was just a bit greasy and a bit. I suppose he's meant to look that way. But yeah, they get him, don't they? They go on that scene with the caretakers, the horses. There was a chase scene along the island, or to their ship, and I thought that was pretty good.
Visually wicked. That was pretty cool.
I enjoyed that. And then they make it back to the destroyer, don't they? With the codebreaker.
Yeah, and then fail straight away. Basically, all of that fail straight away. So once they've failed, Princess Leia comes back in because she's mended now, and says, "Oh, it's okay. This new person that took over, is Ellie Sadler from Star Wars, from Jurassic Park. Basically, it's like she's fueling up the jettison pods. Poe's like, you can't do this. You can't do this. Leia comes back in. It's like, it's okay, Poe. We'll just cloak them. And he's like, oh, of course, that could work. And we'll just go down to that planet. And it's just like, well, why didn't you think about that before you wasted an hour of my fucking time trying to make it all tie in somehow? Like, that whole portion they could have removed and done something completely different with.
Okay, this is Whiteley's wisdom, okay? First of all, there's a couple of points. Number
you
one,
have no wisdom.
I have lots of wisdom. I'll just use it for the wrong reasons. Okay, Finn. He was pussying out a bit by trying to escape. Yes, he wanted to go and use that beacon to help Rey out, but he was also trying to get away. Number two, that whole scene was pointless, but it was a failed plan. It wasn't a plot hole. It wasn't something that shouldn't have happened. It was a failed plan. They were trying to do something and it failed, right? And that's okay. It's not a plot hole. It's a failed plan. That's it. They could cut it out, but it doesn't show development in Finn's story. What I didn't like was, which I didn't add on the last time we just recorded, was number one, Phasma was fucking. It was that I was waiting for them to fight. It shows him in the trailer, him pulling out this thing, and she's pulling out the blade, and they're about to go face to face, and that was just a complete cop out. I thought that could have been so good. Look at the size of Phasma. Like, that would have been an amazing fight to see. And also, BB-8 hijacking the ATST was a bit too much, I thought.
I didn't, because they did a very Marvel-esque look around to each other, just like, really? And when a film acknowledges the really moments, I'm fine with it. I'm like, you know what? If you're going, take us with a pinch of salt because you added a 2-second look at each other, then I can take you with a pinch of salt. I was fine with that. Yes, it was shit and cheesy, and it was like, really? But...
really is the right notion, I think, because I was just like, what? Really? Really? It just rolls off the tongue. Also I was going to say, like I said earlier, like, Poe is a dick in this movie, so...
See, I didn't think he was. I thought he had everything right. I think he was... They should have kept up the attack. They should have, because they destroyed the dreadnought. It wasn't constantly like they say permission to go and blow stuff up. He was there when he needed to be, and he rightfully so should have questioned the person who took over Leia while she was out of it, Holdo, to say, this is bullshit, we need to stave off time, like, give them chance. He played that part perfect, I think. Not in terms of acting and stuff like that, but like his character in the film.
Holdo was a great character. I really loved her. I thought, and there's that amazing scene. Oh my god, it's like visionary you've never seen in Star Wars before. So we're gonna come back because, like I said, we can't do it chronologically. We're on that path now, so we might as well go. When they jettison the pods, Holdo's got a plan. And Poe's being a dick as usual, saying, "Oh no, we can't do this." He doesn't realize that she's got a plan, and her plan is to get everyone off the ship, turn the ship around, and literally just launch herself at the destroyer at hyperspace. And oh my fucking god, I love that. Did you like that?
Yeah. So it was about 2 minutes before this, before Phasma. Like, I get what you're saying about the Phasma scene not being great in BB-8, but a few minutes before that, Rey and Kylo go ham on some people. At that point, it got good. So this is like 5 minutes into...
We'll go back to that.
So this bit for me was like 5 minutes into being bored out of my skin, that we're in the last 40 minutes of the film, and I'm like, this needs to get fucking good, fucking quick.
Fast, yeah.
So I was on a high because it had been great for the last 5 minutes. It had been all explosions. And that scene where the sound stopped, and it was just this white or blue jet that goes through Snoke's ship, which is like the size of about 500 Star Destroyers. It goes through all the Star Destroyers, just wipes out their fleet with all but a couple of ships. And then the cinema just erupts with noise of just a fucking explode. The seats were shaking. It was like just unreal.
I was open mouthed. I was like, oh my, what a badass bitch she is. I fucking love that. I mean, oh, the way they did it, the fact that you wouldn't even know it's happened. It would just happen an instant. Well, before it would just be. So that's why they did that. The visualization and sound, like you said, the way it comes after the explosion was done. Amazing cinematography for me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you'd had all this build up, this really slow, fucking tedious shit on the island, and then to see that was just fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, that was wicked for me. But yeah, a few minutes before that, basically, we'd sat there twiddling our thumbs. Ray's doing some shit on an island. Finn and Poe and little Chinese woman are fucking about doing loads of pointless shit. But Ray has finally managed to get onto the destroyer, and she walks into a room with Snoke, and Kylo Ren walks her in. And
basically, should we explain the mind meld thing first? Because like they did the mind meld thing. And he basically convinces Rey to come to him so he can help her find her place in all this. She says that in the trailer. So yeah, it's a trap, isn't it? She goes there, she gets captured, and she gets walked to Snoke's throne room.
Yeah, and it turns out Snoke has he's the one that's performing the mind meld, knowing that Kylo is struggling between light and dark, and knowing that Rey isn't intelligent enough yet to figure out it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. But basically, Kylo's having none of it and takes the opportunity to force turn the lightsaber around on Snoke's desk, on his armchair thing, his throne, and turns it on and just tears him in half. That's it. Snoke dead.
Another
just
open
dead.
mode. And you know what? I fucking love that Snoke is dead. I love it. People are like, oh no, who's Snoke? Who's this? And I think that was a big fuck you to the fans. The fan theorists, the ones that have been making up their own little minds and their own stuff. I think that was a big fuck you to them. And I love that.
I did as well. I was like, thank fuck. So can we just get back to having a good guy and a bad guy? And like, it's new Star Wars and they don't have to be Darth Vader. Like in hiding. It's like, it's not Force Ghost Darth Vader in a mask. Exactly. And I thought it was at some point. Like, it's just they were their own characters. We've got new characters now, brilliantly intertwined with old ones. So
that fight scene in the throne room was absolutely stunning. By the way,
they take out all the elite guards, don't they? The ones with like the energy swords.
And those guys are trained as hard as Jedis, if not harder, because they don't have the Force to use. Like, they are put through. If you ever played any of the games, you understand they're fucking horrible bastards to fight. And they just ease through them. It was so good watching.
I wouldn't say they eased through them. There were some struggle moments.
There were. And did you see that bit where there was one of them that's got Rey in like a chokehold and she's struggling and she just drops the lightsaber, catches it with her other hand, and bam, he's gone.
Yeah, then throws it to Kylo Ren and he catches it and it just goes on for like a quarter of a second. It's just boom, bam, straight through his eyeball because he doesn't need to have it on anymore. It's like boom, you're dead.
I didn't like the lightsaber nunchuck things. I thought they were a bit strange.
They're not lightsabers. They're their own thing.
The lightning shit, yeah.
The energy weapons, like they come in all sorts of forms. I didn't even think twice about that. But the second, like up to this point, the whole film has revolved around like, is Kylo going to be good? Is Rey going to be bad? The second that Snoke is out of the picture, Kylo makes a push for power. Not in he's like, join me. It's like he's the boss now. And this is what I was saying to you before, was I had a feeling that everyone was like, oh, he's going to be good. They're going to swap over light and dark. And I thought at some point they might have. But I had
that idea in your head.
An alternate theory that Kylo Ren was just going to be a motherfucker. Like, he is just going to be pure evil. And the second that Snoke was out of the picture... To be fair, he's not pure evil because he wanted to let it all die, didn't he? He wanted the whole thing to be over and they wanted to reign a new empire, basically. But he was just on the Darth Vader track. Just in his own mind, he was justifying it his own way. And Rey just does not think twice. Like, she's just... No.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, just completely unfazed. I think, like... was it in the recording before or just a few moments ago? Yeah, we talked about Yoda during this recording, didn't we?
Yeah, this is quite funny.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's so weird because I'm so confused.
This is the second time this ever happened to us. It happened with Xbox before, and the second time you always kind of like, what did we talk?
What did we say? Yeah. So yeah, I've already made the point of like I don't think Rey is gonna. They might be playing the long game with does she turn evil and does Kylo go good again, but I really do think that she is just going to be like this unstoppable beacon of hope, basically. Like she is just pure good. But yeah, that was the point where it got good. The second that they reached for their lightsabers to attack those elite guards, I was like, oh shit. That's when the Phasma scene and the hyperspace scene.
It all happened at the same time, didn't it?
It was just constant. And then they're straight down to this base, which is like a giant salt flat, basically. And the imagery of this, I was like, why didn't they open with this, have something like this all the way through? Because it was like white salt flats, but it had the red element undertone to it, so it was kicking up dust, like red dust all the way through it. And the bit where they back themselves into Helm's Deep, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, and they realise like shit. There's like these like souped up AT-ATs lined up outside. They're gonna destroy us. They've got miniaturized Death Star technology to get through this giant gate. We need to go out and meet them. So they go out into the trenches, and it was like stepping back into old Star Wars. Of they're in trenches. They're all lined up, facing down death. Like the Empire is gonna fucking annihilate them, not through some crazy convoluted let's escape them and see if we can stay out of range of their, jump into hyperspace. Just all out war. And that's what happens for like 5 or 10 minutes. It's just AT-ATs fighting rebels with land speeders going around.
Well, those land speeders were weird. I thought a bit strange. They were like really clunky, kind of dragging. It was a bit strange, but I liked the way that they were all just fucking going at it. And then there's that scene where Finn is going to drive himself straight into the.
I think he should have
battering. I think. What is her name? I'm not going to keep calling her Chinese girl.
Chinese girl. It's fine.
When she pushes him out the way and they crash, and she's like, "That was my moment, bitch. I was about to die. Like I've shit my pants."
Yeah, I've already shit my pants now. I'm less happy about being alive and more worried there's no fucking wardrobes here. So yeah, I think Finn should have just gone into the thing and just destroyed it there and then. Like, she died anyway, so if she was going to go into it, someone was going to die.
Did she die?
Yeah, she died. She was like, this is what we fight for. We save each other instead of fighting. It's just like, no, we would have also won by fighting and you still died. You muppet.
It wasn't Rose. Was it Rose?
Chinese girl. So after that, Luke rocks up.
Yeah.
And basically, everyone goes back inside. They realise they're going to get annihilated. Like, this one push to try and take out this cannon. They're like, nope, this is not working. We are getting fucking whooped. There's not enough of us. There's like 13 land speeders against probably about 7 giant AT-ATs. And they're just like, one shot, they're dying.
I love that moment, by the way, of Luke just standing there in front of everything. And everybody's just like, what is he doing? Like, and then you have that moment where Kylo Ren's fire everything on that one guy, and they're just like, bah, 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 and they're just destroying that one spot. And they keep firing and firing and firing, and the general's like, do you think you got him? I love that. They should have left it at that. That was funny. But then when Kylo pushes him from one side of the AT-AT to the other, just fuck off. Yeah. I thought that was another carry-on moment, another roll your eyes kind of thing. And then obviously the smoke clears and he's still stood there, and everybody's thinking, how is this guy still alive? And then he goes down to meet him for our
yeah, I thought that bit where he just walked out and he just brushes off his shoulder.
Yeah,
I was just like, that's awesome. And I realised there's something that's going to link into this is basically Kylo goes down to meet him. They have this little fight that doesn't really go anywhere, but there's a reason why it doesn't. Like he's just evading him. He's not actually. They don't clash lightsabers at all.
He just dodges everything, doesn't he? And he does that weird lean back Matrix thing where he kind of limbos underneath the lightsaber.
Yeah,
love that. That was great.
So it turns out the reason why he doesn't get him, like, no, in fact, before we do that, like, I love the bit where Obi-Wan Kenobi's himself. He's like, if you strike me down now, like, it will live with you forever, as will your dad. And Kylo's like, fuck you, I'm evil. I've not got to play between light and good anymore. I'm going to fuck you up. So he just charges at him and goes to attack him. And I thought what we were going to see was him, just his clothes drop.
Yeah.
Because that's it. That's what the Jedi do.
Well, oh, hold on. By clothes drop, you don't mean suck my dick.
Yeah. What did you think? But the lightsaber just goes straight through him, and he's still there. So obviously, I think that is why they did use the mind meld as a way to do the whole Kylo and Rey thing, was so that when we got to that point, we weren't like, really? That's convenient. When we had to believe that Luke had projected himself from he's still on the island, and he was projecting himself into that moment.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's why there was so much mind meld stuff, so that was half believable. Because I don't think that had been done before.
They should have done it as though it was like a real struggle, as if it's one thing they could only do for a short amount of time, and then it's gone. Because they do explain. Because Luke comes and he says, "Well, you can't do that. It would kill you. Like you can't. You're not trained enough yet." So they do explain that it's a difficult thing. But if they just showed it as a struggle, as something that's not so really convenient, like a fucking Bluetooth or something, you know?
Yes,
yeah. And then, of course, obviously, he just disappears, and Kylo Ren realizes he was just buying the guys time to escape from their cave.
Yeah.
We'll come back, but I mean, obviously, then Luke just his clothes, like you said, he dies.
But like Luke back on the island, Luke, not there. Like he just disappears, that for me, I was like, I was so great. It's gonna sound weird, but I was so grateful that Luke had died. So I was like, right, he's out of it now. He's gone in a cool way. He's had probably one of the coolest moments in Star Wars. I was just like, right, we can move on, because we were just like slowly.
They're gonna go in the lounges. Yeah.
Special guest on the podcast.
That's my little boy.
Yeah, so basically, I was just glad that they're like knocking down the list of these old characters who need to be written out in some way anyway. But it's like you don't have to worry about like how do they, like, in the same way as Snoke, even though he was a new character, you don't have to worry like how do they tie in, who's he going to be the dad of, who's this, that, and the other. It's just like, no, he's had a moment. He was just Luke, and he's gone now. So yeah, I like that as well.
And the whole imagery of that was beautiful as well. The whole like pause, it shows Leia holding the dice that he gave her Han Solo's dice, and she holds them and they just disappear. So you have all these moments where he's looking up at the sky. Everybody just pausing, looking at the camera. You're wondering, what the fuck's going on? Why have we just stopped? Like, why is the movie just stopped? And then he just disappears. He's gone. And I thought that was an amazing send out. Like, I think, I mean, on the flip side, I think it would have been great for him to have a warrior's death. I think that might have been good. But he taught Kylo Ren a lesson from one side of the galaxy to the other. He did like something amazing, like something you'd expect a Jedi to teach his Padawan, almost a lesson. And that lesson was like, be better. And Kylo Ren was very much like, towards the end of that movie, he was the emo, fucking angry teenager. I'm almost 18, Mom. That kind of.
If I want to take an AT-AT or an army of them out onto the salt flats and destroy a rebellion and snuff out all hope of, all chance of hope in the galaxy, I'll do it.
Yeah, and the way he threw the Admiral across. Yeah. Anyway, that was really good. Did you see that topless scene, by the way? Obviously,
I can't believe we didn't. Oh God,
was that CGI? The way his chest just looked weird. His pecs look too far apart. He looks very pasty and wide. His head looked too small. Did they CGI his body?
I don't know, but why did they even need to do it in the first place? This is what I was on about. Like, it was just lots of little decisions to put certain scenes in there that I was like, what? Why? Just put some fucking clothes on.
Like, I don't mind him being topless, obviously, because it's life. I'm not one of these that shies away from a half-naked boy. But
I think you need to rephrase that.
But he didn't look right. It looks CGI. Adam Driver, if that is your body, I mean, fair enough. I got no problems. I'm not a body shamer, but it didn't look right to me. Your head looked too small, son. Sort it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, apart from the boners of this movie, I thought it was a good effort. Where does it place for you? If you can,
completely separate to any other film. It places as number 8 in the list of films. There's going to be another one soon. So, I mean that in a sense of like chronologically, in terms of good. Just like I say, completely separate because it was way too slow. There were so many shit bits in it.
Can't. That's a bailout. You can't.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I'm not putting it in my actual list. It came third for me. Third.
I honestly can't because it was so different. The rest of the films, like you can, the stories move on and stuff like that, and they make sense. This one was like 75% slow or bollocks, and then 25% some of the most amazing bits ever. And I just don't know why how do I say, it's like the cinematography of like I said, the point where they pick up their lightsabers, Rey and Kylo onwards, why they didn't just have that all the way throughout the film. I get that you've got to have your ups and downs and stuff, but I don't know.
What did you as well, Porgs? We mentioned on the other recording, not here. Porgs. What did you think of the Porgs?
Oh, I thought that was this recording. Yeah, Porgs were awesome.
I love the Porgs, and we had so many fucking idiots that are like, "Oh, Porgs are just another excuse to merchandise and make money." And I was thinking, Star Wars is the most merchandise movie in the history of movies. There's Star Wars of everything. Fucking everything you want, you can get of Star Wars. They don't need Porgs to make money. And in fact, from what I learned, they're actually really clever. They were actually a way of disguising the infestation of puffins they had on the island that they were recording. So for that, the whinging little bitches that have complained about them need to apologize outright just on Facebook. I'm a dick. I'm sorry. And B, the people that made them need recognition for their genius, because it's a brilliant way of covering that up. And also, there's that really beautiful, funny scene where Chewie sat there, like you explained this last time. He's eating a cooked piece of porg on a spit he's about to tuck into, and the porgs were all looking at him, going, "Ah!" He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know, it was very a very good way of doing that, I thought. So yeah, Porgs ace. I'm just going through a list. I wrote a list before I started this, and I'm just going through it. What about Leia? The spacewalk with Leia.
Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely. Like, putting her arm out and she just, like, floats in the same position all the way. No. Fuck that.
You didn't like that?
No, did not like that whatsoever.
I thought it was really good. And I explained, I got destroyed mainly for this comment on Reddit about this. And I liked it because you don't see Leia using her powers. She's got powers. Of course she's got fucking powers. She's not a Jedi, but she's strong with the Force, you know? And what's to say that she can't stop herself from fucking exploding in space? And all you'd need is a gentle little tip to push yourself in the right direction. You wouldn't need much at all. You wouldn't need to fly like Superman. It looked like that because she was in space. If you've ever watched a Joe Rogan podcast, you'll understand you don't need much there's no resistance in space. So what she did was actually feasible. It's believable to me, you know. Why can't she create like a force bubble around herself and then push herself back to the ship? You know what I mean? I liked it. I thought it was...
Because there was no force bubble. If it was a force bubble that stopped her, like, they should have figured out a way of actually building that in there. Like, should have seen her look at the missiles coming towards her and gone, like, seen an expression on her face and, like, some sort of effect come across the screen. Big explosion, and then the camera pans around all the debris and she's there with, like, something around her. Would have made more sense. Rather than it just being
Star-Lord to fly in front of her and take his mask off and give it to her. No, I liked it, and because I thought it would have just been a complete, like, obviously Carrie Fisher can't do any more movies. She needs to be written out of them, and I thought that would have been a cop-out, just to boom, she's gone. Like, it's good that she's gonna get a nice send-off.
How do you think they're gonna write her out of it now, though? Because she escapes at the end.
I think she becomes a nun, goes to Earth. She goes and picks up two stoners from the side of the road, and she
who are
gets
like,
angry.
Blunts. Who smokes the blunts?
You follow the good book too. Well, all right. That's what happens to Leia. Okay, and that's got to be canon. Right?
Yeah. It's just like, they call you the cock knocker, and she's like, brother.
Luke, I finally found you.
Yeah, I think I'll have to, like, CGI her death or something. Like, there's going to be episode 9 will be an escape scene where they are finally getting away. Oh, one last point. You know what I was going to say there, and then some CGI explosion shit I don't even need to explain. Did the boy at the end? This is part of why my girlfriend was saying, right, why they needed to go down to that base and why they had to go down and do all of that pointless shit, was because they interacted with a few kids there to give them hope. The end of the scene, they're like, oh, how do we rebuild from this? And Leia's like, we have everything we need to rebuild. We have hope, basically. And it goes to the scene back onto the casino where they had to go down, where there was the horse dog racing Last
Guardian. And those
Guardian.
kids were treated really badly, weren't they? They were treated really badly.
Did that kid force grab that broom?
Yes, he did.
He did. I fucking knew it.
Yes, he did. And I love that. A lot of people are like, oh, fuck you, Disney. Why have you given us hope? Blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, that's the whole fucking point, you dickheads. Like, that's the whole point. And that's why Luke at the end is like, the Jedi will live on. The Force is going to get stronger. And it's not the end for us. And then you see that kid grabbing that fucking broom. And I was just like, yes, that's exactly. I don't get the ring. I don't get why he has that ring and where it's come from. I don't know if it come from Rose or...
Yeah, Rose or Finn had it, didn't she? Or he. It was like, that's how he convinced the kid not to call the alarm. It's like...
I don't... It got me to a point where I don't care if it's that kid that comes in the next movie or just somebody else, because it just shows that the galaxy is fucking vast. Yeah. And there are people out there like Anakin, like Luke, like fucking Mace Windu. They're like, all these Jedis came from somewhere, like that, and that boy is a representative of that. You know, it doesn't have to be that kid that comes back.
Just believing in the Force, isn't it? That's all it is. It's like fucking Santa. That's all the Force is. Yeah. It's believing to a point where you can tap into it. I really want someone, if you're listening and you know Star Wars better than I do, is like the Force ring a thing that we're completely missing? Like, is that like an object that exists in the Star Wars lore?
I don't think that ring added any resemblance other than the fact that it had the Rebel Alliance thing and the insignia. I think it just shows that that's what he believes in. You know?
That's the spark that they kept referring to, was that they can...
Yeah. Because those kids were repressed to fuck. Like, they're not going to like the New Order if they're slaves in a fucking... in a barn, in horse yards and shit. Like, they're not going to want that. So, yeah, they want to change. It came in third for me for the Star Wars. I've got Empire at the top, goes Force Awakens, and then it goes this... it would probably fight for a place with episode 3. Episode 3 was good for me. I really like that.
Yeah, I think it's still top for me is Rogue One, absolutely. Then Force Awakens, because I just loved the return of Star Wars. You know,
and I think it did miss Harrison Ford. I think because you're going on about about how the humor is kind of forced, and I've mentioned it's a bit slapsticky and stuff. I think a lot of the humor came from Harrison Ford's dry comments with Chewie. Yes, he did. All those arguments that they have between each other, and you got Heart Kid, all that stuff. It all came from Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and I think that's how they did the humor before, and it was that tone, and now they needed a new way to inject it in, and it, except for the Porg moment for me, none of the humor worked because it wasn't Harrison Ford Chewie humor. So yeah, you've hit the nail on the head with that. But overall, yeah, I think Rogue One, Episode 7, then the rest of them. Honestly, I can't list that. It's like trying to list the Fast and Furious films. It's like there's too many. Ooh. The rest of them just fall into this group of that Star Wars for me, and a few break out as the ones that I'd watch over and over. Because I've said this before, like a lot of people will put all three of the original trilogy above Episode 1, 2, and 3. But in just whatever order. I wouldn't. I'd mash them all together because they're just Star Wars films. You go back and watch some of the first trilogy, they're not that great films. It's just they speak to nerds.
What would you put, if you can, pick one that's the worst?
The worst, Episode 2.
Yes,
without doubt. Nothing really happens. There's ship fights. There's crap CGI. It's just all round. There's some cool moments like the arena bit where all the Jedi are facing off against the Sith. That was awesome. But I'd like Episode 1, 2, and 3 to be redone with today's technology with a different Anakin. Then, but it is what it is. They're the films that you got to put up with. But like I say, there was some really shit bits in all the original films, but it was that element of they were great for the time that they were made in, therefore you take them for the time they were made in. Imagine if someone made fucking Episode 6 now, people would be like, what the fuck is this? But it's great still because it is what it was. So yeah, I can only say Rogue One stood out for me because of not just the Darth Vader bit, but the story it tells. Then Episode 7, and then the rest go all in together.
Well, that's it, guys. That's our review on The Last Jedi. If you got any comments, do please comment, but we don't want any hate for it. Okay.
I want you to give Al hate. Definitely disagree with everything that he says, preferably as violently as possible.
Should we do our end of year wrap up?
Yeah, so basically what I kind of wanted to go through, and annoyingly the first recording failed, and it's got rid of all the list of the films that I was going to talk about. So what we're going to do is just go down our 5 best films. Sort of all 2017 films, ideally. But number 5...
5 for me. What is yours?
My number 5, I'm going to go with Logan Lucky.
Ooh, okay.
I really enjoyed Logan Lucky. It wasn't the best film in the world. There were better films that I can only put as honourable mentions, but I enjoyed it. That's the thing. It's not what's critically the best or anything like that. Not what was like, oh, that was amazing, like the CGI in that. It was just fun.
That's on my list too, but it's not at number 5. Number 5 for me was Justice League, actually. My wife in the background. Number 5, Justice League.
Yeah.
It was okay. There's a few nice moments in it, but it was a bit disappointing, and it was an anticlimax. So yeah, number 5 for me, Justice League.
Yeah.
It was just bland. I mean, I've been wanting a Justice League movie since I was a kid, and it wasn't what it lived up to be. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Me with that, like we've not long since talked about that, but there were just some sort of ways in which people were presented, and I don't know, like that just, it could have been so much more. I think the hype killed that film a bit as well. I think if that came out of the blue, people would have been like, wow.
It just did something to me that I didn't like. You know what I mean? I was trying to big up a movie that wasn't brilliant, and it's because of my love for DC. It jaded my view on things.
Yeah.
Like I was like, no, you guys are all wrong. It was amazing, the best thing ever. And then it was actually a review by Kev Smith that I watched, and Mark Bernardin, and it's because of what they were saying. I was kind of like, actually, no, it wasn't that brilliant.
Yeah.
What's number 4 for you?
Number 4 for me is Wonder Woman.
Oh, again in my list, but not in the same place.
Yeah.
Deserves a nod. Absolutely deserves a nod, because I think that's what happens when DC can get things right. If they can get anything like that,
if they were firing on all cylinders like they did with, well, they missed a few points, but not every film's perfect. If they could get every film like that, quality wise, story wise, cinematography wise, action scene wise, then they've got nothing to worry about. It would be a completely different argument of, who's better, Marvel or DC. It would be very much on par.
And I hope that people can start to learn to accept both Marvel and DC as equal things, because I hate this Marvel versus DC shit. Number 4 for me was Logan Lucky.
Cool. So you had it at 4.
I really enjoyed it. I liked. I know you've just covered it, but I liked seeing Adam Driver in a different light, as than Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
That was really good. So that was number 4. Number 3 for me was Wonder Woman.
Oh, right, okay. So we don't need to talk about that again. Number 3 for me was Logan.
Oh fuck! Shit, I forgot that didn't make my list. It should have. But, I mean, it's in my top 10.
Yeah,
definitely in my top 10.
Yeah, Logan to me. The reason why it isn't number 1, the same as what with my number 2, is it was too heavy. I came out of that knowing it was going to be the last time that we see Hugh Jackman, who I have grown up with. Most of the people that listen to this have grown up with Hugh Jackman as a certain character. To see him die was fucking heart-wrenching. Not in a kind of like, how people cry at the Titanic. Not in a kind of, oh my god, that's so sad. It was a kind of like, shit, this is not just a film that's sad, it's what it stands for. It was like, it was an end of an era thing. It was like watching an empire come to an end. Holy fuck, that's it. It was like all of those films are wrapped up now. That's it. And whether he comes back, because of the licensing things.
I hope they don't bring him back. I hope they don't, because
I don't.
I think they're gonna. They'd be stupid not to, but I hope they don't. I think a good send off like that. If a film can grab your heart and squeeze it and make you feel that pain, I think it's done its job.
See, they were silly though, because they've cast this person now as a different Marvel character. What they could have done, because all this licensing stuff must have been in the way, like Disney doesn't just buy out Fox because it decides to one day. That's been in the works for a long time. There's been a lot of deciding whether to spend fucking 200 billion on something, or 80 billion or whatever it was. Tom Hardy as Wolverine would have been the one character, because of star. People love Tom Hardy, could pull it off. Would have been the one character that they could have brought the X-Men over to, recast. This is the MCU X-Men, led by Tom Hardy as Wolverine. That was the one character, in my opinion, that could have pulled off Marvel going, right, these are our versions of it. Because anyone else, people are going to be like, no, not as good as Hugh Jackman. Tom Hardy would be the only person who could pull the character off, who actually was decent at doing it, and people would like, because people fucking for some reason love Tom Hardy. But now he's Venom. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to recast Wolverine. I really don't. No one else can pull it off, I don't think. Maybe, I don't know.
With it not being part of the MCU, that Venom doesn't make sense to me, because I would have loved it to be MCU and then to go down the Agent Venom route, because then you're starting to build up a Spider-Man cast. Then how good would Agent Venom be?
That would have been incredible.
Yeah,
that would have literally rounded off the MCU if you've got Spider-Man fleshed out was just like, yeah, it's a wrap. Just Batman, don't bother turning up to work today. You are not needed.
Yeah, number 2. You go with your number 2.
So number 2 for me, again, a very heavy film, but I enjoyed it. Probably one of my favourite franchises of all time, Planet of the Apes. War for the Planet of the Apes. Again, wasn't the best film, but I just enjoyed seeing that wrapped up, the storylines all tied together, and it ending, but in a way that they could then take it on. Like, it's been out for ages now. Like, Caesar dies at the end of it. So that's the trilogy done. But his son Cornelius can take it from there, and they can wrap. They're in the desert now. It's picking back up from where the old films were. But it was just too heavy to get the number 1 spot for me. But brilliant at the same time.
It's in my top 10, but it was a really painful film to watch because
it was.
That whole concentration camp thing was just horrendous to see.
It was horrendous, but that's why it's in there as my number 2, because it pulled off a subject that fucking I have not seen another film, unless it's a documentary film, pull off concentration camps.
I liked Woody Harrelson in that because we saw a different side to Woody Harrelson. There was that really damaged human being that's lost his kid, and we saw it a bit in Zombieland, but that was more comical. I mean, obviously he lost his pup in Zombie. Number 2 for me was The Last Jedi, and I'll explain why. Number 2 is The Last Jedi, because if a movie moves you, if it gets you to a point where you feel like you're probably going to cry, or you're sat there open-mouthed, where no one around you exists, and there's just a seismic shift through the theatre. I believe that it's done its job. And that's the second movie to that. There were little bits in Justice League, like with the Green Lanterns flying around. They did make me feel a bit emotional. But Last Jedi, throughout the whole movie, I was just kind of emotional. And that's my top 2 movies do that. And that's why they deserves to be there.
Should we do it?
Number 1.
Number 1, is it Thor?
3, 2. Oh, I forgot about Thor. I forgot about Thor.
Oh, how did you forget about Thor? Right, my number 1 is Thor. What's yours? And
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver. Ah, right, okay. All right.
I feel really bad now. Oh, fuck's sake. I'm going to give him both joint first. There we go. I can do that. I don't know. Yeah, Thor. Yeah, brilliant choice. Well done.
Yeah, I've gone with like a very themed sort of like franchisey theme of it's all comic books, it's all superheroes, it's all sci-fi. Baby Driver was actually in my top 5. I do remember. I was just trying to remember like the best 5, and I kind of forgot about Baby Driver. But it was maybe sort of I'd probably knock out Logan Lucky for Baby Driver, to be honest. But yeah, that was wicked. It's just a shame that fucking rapey Spacey's in it.
Rapey Spacey? Sorry, that killed me. Right, okay, yeah, so this movie, of course it's getting a lot of shit because of a lot of the comments that Spacey makes in the movie, and obviously what's happened. And there were a lot of memes and jokes. I spoke about this on the last podcast, but that movie, honestly, it made me emotional in a happy sense. I've never walked out of a movie and felt so filled with joy. I mean, that scene where he walks to get the coffees, and he's just like, well, it's almost similar to that's what would have happened if they'd got that scene right in Spider-Man 3. Like, it was just so beautiful. And that's how I felt coming out of the movie. And that's what I'm saying about The Last Jedi. I watched that movie, and the ground lifted for me. It was just such a beautiful moment in my life. And I'll never forget watching that movie.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I came out of that just like, you walked out with like a skip in your step, didn't you? Just like, yeah, that was wicked. Like, I wouldn't necessarily watch it too many times again, but I don't always have to. Like, I'll watch my franchisey shit over and over and over.
4 times I've watched that movie.
You watched it 4 times?
4 times. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. But Thor, to me, Thor takes the crown. It's the perfect Marvel film across all accounts. Acting, story, comedy, villain, heroes, the place that it has in respect to the other films. It was just perfect. It was.
I'm gonna even go as far as I think Logan Lucky was a lot better than Justice League. I'd put Justice League, but I put it down to 6, and I would have Baby Driver and Thor as my top one. I don't know why I forgot about that. I think we before we came to the show, we just literally wrote down the top 5. So forgive me for forgetting that. But you're right, that movie was just. It was funny, and it was like I was really worried about that franchise, the whole Thor thing. Because the Dark World was so bad, I was thinking, oh man.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, was it, Thor? Like, Thor 1 was like, people like, oh wow, he's so hot. It's like, yeah, but what do you think about the film? Yeah, but he's so hot. Like, but what about the film? It wasn't great. Dark World was not great either. It's like, but that was their first delve into, well, I say their first, it's always had comedy, but that was their first delve into like, oh, what if a film could be all about the comedy? But it fell flat a little bit, very much in the same way that Star Wars felt, The Last Jedi, the comedy felt flat in it. But that was the thing where they were like, right, what if 80% of our films were about comedy? This is our platform. And then came, nailed it with Guardians 2.
And we got the right guy to do it as well. Taika Waititi is an absolute genius at what he does. It's fine. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does, and he got me onto him. Like, I'd never seen anything he'd ever made, and I thought, I'll go back and watch whatever he's made. And I watched Hunt for the Wilder People, and that's an absolute joy as well. And there's another one as well, What the Wolves Do, I think it's called, What We Do in the Dark, or something. It's something like that. Forgive me again, but I love that guy. He's such a talented guy. He takes his humor and he puts it onto paper, then goes onto the screen, and that's a really amazing talent to have. So I mean, I enjoyed that. Top 5 movies. Hopefully 2018 offers a bit more. Did you have a top series that you'd watched this year? Have you watched anything that you enjoyed?
Same thing that I've commented on a million times is Designated Survivor. For me, is just take 24 and Homeland, smash them together in great acting, great storytelling. It's just fucking awesome. Really is.
For me, it's a toss-up between let's see, Star Trek and Punisher. I think that's gonna be the tie-up there, because Star Trek, the new series, I don't know if you've watched it yet. It's just reimagined, but also a prequel, and also it's also similar at the same time. It's got so many like different aspects to this Star Trek series that you didn't have before, because they were probably too scared to air it. There's a little bit of sauciness, there's a little bit of violence and gore, and and there's a bit of comedy, and it's really good. Star Trek is probably a 9.5 out of 10 for me. That's how far I'd put it. And Punisher, I really liked. It got really bad reviews. I think that's because of the downfall from Defenders, which absolutely fell short for me. The Defenders was an anti-climax as well. That's terrible. But Punisher, they did that perfectly. It wasn't I thought it was going to be a John Wick rip-off, and it wasn't. It was a real deep story, and I like that. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. I'm trying this new thing with the things that I watch and do and listen to and stuff, is that because it's difficult with doing a podcast about this kind of stuff, because you need to try and watch everything, you need to try and play everything, you need to try and do everything that you can. I'm letting the things that hook me, and I'm just enjoying the things that I naturally find enjoyable. I'm just doing that. Instead, you said The Punisher, I really liked a few of those episodes, but for some reason it hasn't hooked me to go back and watch it, and I'm fine with that. I know I need to.
That last episode, you'll see why when you watch it. You need to get through it, man.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the last episode which chilled me to the bones. Oh my god, I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, I get you, because I tried that with The Dark. I tried to watch The Dark.
You can't force yourself to like shit, can you?
Dog shit. It was dog shit. It was awful. Yeah. Did you? Kind of looking for these, but did you have a favorite game this year that you played?
Yeah. So my sort of game of the year. Get this. an Xbox guy choosing a PlayStation game as Game of the Year, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, fuck's sake. I thought you were going to go Cuphead.
That honourable mention to Cuphead, but no, Horizon Zero Dawn just takes the cake on all accounts. It's stunning to look at. Some of the voice acting's a bit cheesy. Some of the people, the skin looks like it's made out of Play-Doh, but everything else in it. Oh, and one last negative: the fetch quests as the side quests are fucking horrific. Like, put some effort into your side quests, please. But everything else, the storytelling through the main quests, the fact that I got halfway through this and was like trying to balance it between PlayStation, Xbox. I was like, right, I'm going to pick up Tomb Raider because I'm loving these third-person action adventure games. And Tomb Raider handled like fucking a car that had its brakes cut because it just did not handle well.
I didn't like the new Tomb Raider. I thought it was awful.
Yeah, it's like, but I was playing it before and I was enjoying it. But I played Horizon, went back to Tomb Raider. I was like, this handles like turd. It was just awesome. They're fighting giant robots in a world that, I mean, I've already said to you, like, Planet of the Apes is one of my favourite franchises. I love that sort of Colorado-y desert, big stacks of fucking rocks going, spire sort of canyon-y things. I love that aesthetic, and they had that in droves in this as well as the snowy areas. So when I got to those desert scenes and it was all canyons, it was like I was in the Planet of the Apes world, but just doing the story. Like, it had basically Halo storyline of trying to escape this swarm of something, mankind having been killed out once and reseeded and coming back and doing all this kind of stuff. Fantastic storyline to it. And it took a lot of design cues from like games like Mass Effect, that the way that it did like inventory and all that kind of stuff when you pick it up from things that you killed. It just brought back loads of nostalgic bits as well as wanting me to think about pushing forward about new games, i.e. with the way it looked. So yeah, it just had the whole package really. And
the game I played that I enjoyed the most, it was an old one that was Just Cause 3. I really love that game. But my game of the year for me is going to be Forza Horizon 3.
That was last year.
Was that last year's game?
Forza this year. But, right, okay. So that was going to be my honourable mention, was Forza Horizon 3. So I'm happy getting into this. It's because I've just picked it up on sale.
I fucking burnt a hole in the disc nearly playing that game. I played it so much, and you'll find now you've just picked it up. If it's still up and going the way it was before, there is a really nice community out there of gamers. Mm-hmm. You can make some. I've made so many Xbox Live friends from playing Forza. Because you just pick up people that enjoy racing, enjoy playing, and you'll see them racing and you'll join them and you can go. Oh, it's just so good. I mean, the cars are brilliant. The tracks are fantastic. The lighting. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. You can literally just cruise around in between races and just enjoy going in, whatever, just going for a drive. It's so beautiful.
Wait until you play Forza 7 is all I can say. I've only played it once, but fuck me. Going back to Forza Horizon 3 makes it look old. 7 is that good. But yeah, I picked up the expansion packs as well. So they're 25 quid for the expansion pass or £16 each. I picked up the expansion pass for £8 in sale. So I've got the Hot Wheels and Blizzard Mountain for £4 each. I can't complain at that. They're that big. They should sell them as standalone expansions, like Forza Horizon 2 did with Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, they could easily sell them as expansions. Brilliant little expansions. So I jumped in. I did about an hour of. I don't know why I didn't pick Horizon. Well, I do know why I didn't pick Horizon 3 as my game of the year because it was 2016, but I'm more hyped about this than Horizon Zero Dawn. I did about an hour or two of just Australia. Was like, okay, I've done a few races now, set up a separate part of the festival. It's cool, I'm really enjoying it. I knew straight away that I needed to get to Blizzard Mountain because for me, my love of racing games started with Gran Turismo. First of all, 1, and then when I got Gran Turismo 2 and they added those, did you ever play Gran Turismo 2? The rally bits where you were against a ghost and you were just trying to get a fast lap, but you weren't. You were fucking racing that ghost, and it pissed you off because you couldn't fucking ram him off the side. That kickstarted my love of rally, and whether they had snow tracks in that or whether I just was playing it at Christmas when it was snowing, it's always set off this thing of when it's snowing, I always think of Gran Turismo 2 and I always think of rally, and it's like that nostalgic loop in my own head. So Forza Horizon 3 looking the way it does with Blizzard Mountain at this time of year, having it's just snowed here in the UK. Well, it's all cleared up now, but it is just snowed a shit ton. I was in my fucking element of nostalgia playing Blizzard Mountain, and it is so good. So I was just souping up fucking beastly rally cars that have got more fucking horsepower than the McLaren P1. And I was just absolutely just annihilating that game. I played it for 2 days straight.
Yeah, I'll show you fucking racing when I get on there.
Bring it, absolutely fucking bring it.
Let's get on it and record some footage and get it on the next show.
Yeah, I'll happily play that later because we're doing New Year's Eve party around mine later, so that's going on. So yeah, Forza Horizon 3 is my not game of the year, but my game of the year because I've just played it as well. Horizon Zero Dawn is my actual game of the year because it was released this year. Honourable mentions being Cuphead, and that's about it. I have not really played too much more. Call of Duty was a very good one. I've enjoyed Call of Duty. I just haven't had time to play it like I hoped I would.
Yes,
I really hoped I could get on that each night with you, but I've had so much shit going on. But yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
Life is so hard.
Life is hard. First world problems.
We don't have much time, so we can either do Dickhead of the Week or Superhero Bar Fight. Which one do you want to do?
Let's save Superhero Bar Fight for New Year's.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to talk, seeing as we're on the subject of gaming, I'll do mine and then we can finish it off with whatever you want to talk about. I read some really sad news today. Sorry to leave you on a low. Someone has been killed in a swatting incident. If you don't know what that is, basically it's when two people are playing Call of Duty, they get pissed off at each other, and one goes a bit too far looking at personal details and calls the police on them, saying something horrendous like they've got hostages or they've just heard gunshots, they've just murdered someone, so they've got no choice but to send armed police in.
Oh no.
And yeah, some news broke that basically one went too far, situation got out of control and someone ended up getting shot and killed over it. If ever you have been in a situation like that, in whether someone you're doing it or you're taking trolling too far, just fucking stop it. Seriously.
I don't fucking understand these people. What the hell is wrong? And it ties him in my Dickhead of the Week as well. You know, I'll talk about it in a minute, but that is horrendous.
Yeah, it's crazy because these are the kind of stories that when politicians want to blame fucking teenage pregnancy on Call of Duty. Because why not? Let's link it. Or fucking gun crime.
It has the opposite effect of teenage pregnancy.
I know, it's just these are the kind of stories that actually give them something to latch onto, and it pisses me off that it's going to be some fucking. Oh no, I can't say that because it's offensive. But some fucking prick who it hasn't been laid in fucking 5 years, who is he's just had his killed KD ratio destroyed because someone's better than him, or the fucking the hit markers didn't work properly or something. He got a bit of lag and he's fucking lost his shit, gone, oh, I know what will be funny, and that happens. It's unreal.
I hope he goes to jail. He
should get done for murder. Yeah, flat out.
Manslaughter, yeah.
No, murder. Not manslaughter. Full-on murder. What's yours?
My Dickhead of the Week is Star Wars fans, right?
Right. Can I just say, before you go into this, I apologise to all our listeners. Please stay with us. These opinions are just Alex's and not mine. I love you.
I'm still fucking feeling it from last week. Okay, so I think I explained on the other recording. I don't think I've explained yet, but I like to go on Reddit and have conversations with people. Right, I know Reddit is the worst place to do shit. Like, but I just talked about how much I really enjoyed the movie and the points I really liked, and I got fucking annihilated. And it's not just talking like people putting their points across about the movie, people being really personally quite aggressive with me, talking shit about our show, because obviously you can see people's history on Reddit, you can see everyone's history, talking about our show, saying that we've been bought by Disney, that we talk shit, and I was just like, we do talk a lot of shit. I mean, I said to him, I said, why don't you have a listen, buddy, and find out? Like, you know, we're a couple of dickheads. Like, we're not no geniuses. We're not super geeks. We're people that enjoy things and like to talk about them. Anyway, if you hear someone's opinion on a fucking movie and feel like you've got to threaten their kids or be sexually suggestive about their partners or couldn't talk about my weight, I'm a fat fuck. I don't give a shit. Like, it's not gonna, but people kill themselves over this shit. I'm not likely to, but people do. People get to a state where they can't cope anymore. They go online to disappear, and then that's what they're faced with.
Yeah, you went to literally the wrong place to have a nice conversation with someone about films.
No, but the thing is, I have had really nice conversations on Reddit. I've got a thread that's going on for ages about Hunt for the Wilder people talking to. I went on and said about Sam Neill from Jurassic Park having a really good New Zealand accent because I thought he was British, and people were like, yeah, he's got a good New Zealand accent because he's from New Zealand, you dick. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was English. Blah, blah. That's fun. That's fine. I made a mistake, and I laugh about it. These people, I'm telling you now, right? Because I like Star Wars, because I liked Leia floating through space, they feel like they can come and personally attack me. And like the shit you've just been talking about, they take it a step too far. I mean, I'm a big fan of Dagami. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and somebody put a meme about how they thought Luke was good with his death scene in Star Wars. Turns out, yeah, he did die, but it was just a jokey meme, like, you know. And people were threatening his kids because his kid was in the picture, and then I defended him, and they started talking about my kid and stuff. And I was just like, you people are fucking savages. It is a movie. Like, even if there were terrible parts of this movie, it didn't deserve the hate, and that's the word I use, hate, that people got from it.
Yeah.
If you are gonna get that way about a movie, you need to change something in your life. I'm telling you, like, it's not funny. Like, I heard there's a kid today whinging about Star Wars, and I said, do you know what a queef sounds like? Because that's what you fucking Star Wars fans sound like. When you all whinge about a movie, you sound like a fucking queef. That is what you sound like. And I think that's perfect. So The new phrase is queefing on about Star Wars.
Yes. Stop queefing on. Right, I'm going to use that. Right, I think... let's wrap it up there. So, yeah, been an interesting 2017. We've had an absolute shit ton of comic book films, superhero stuff, franchising shit. Loads more to come. Yeah, stay tuned. So we're going to be pushing things on into next year with, like, we kind of hit the ground not running this year. We were just like, right, let's get doing it instead of saying we like talking about doing it. We've been working on a lot of things in the background of things moving forward. So we're kind of using 2018 as our sort of spring to go into that. And like, we just knew that we were just going to just bide our time this year and just chill out and find our feet, really. So thanks for sticking with us. Have an awesome New Year's, because I'm going to try and get this up for New Year's Eve. Well, today, hopefully, later, maybe. And yeah, enjoy yourselves. Don't get too drunk.
Me and Jimmy are going to go and get drunk tonight because I'm working New Year's Eve. So I'm going around here with a box of homemade cider and some agua ardiente, and we're going to get fucking shit-faced. And I want to try and do something on Facebook.
You ain't bringing none of that gay shit around my house. Agua aguiente. What the fuck is that?
Ooh. I'm bringing some agua ardiente. It's basically, when I was in Colombia, I learned that's the drink they drink, and it's a bit like, it's like a water.
You ain't bringing Colombian shit around either.
You drink it with water, you get hammered, and you say you do a shot, you drink a small glass of water, you do a shot, you take it, and
you
then
need to dilute it.
When you wake up the next morning, there is no hangover. I shit you not. It is amazing stuff. It's really fun. It's really fun. So let's get on that tonight, and we'll get some Facebook Living going on as well. I can't wait for this.
You can.
So good.
I ain't. I'm staying out of that shot. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll have more of our sexual goodness next year.
I very much appreciate all of your support, guys. Thank you very, very much. 2017 was the beginning. 2018 will probably be the end. Peace out, guys. Much love. Happy New Year to every single one of you guys. I love you all.
Stop queefing on now. Let's go.